Hello everyone, welcome to Heart's Happiness Podcast.
The place where I, Manpreet, share my journey of healing intergenerational family trauma to help you to understand your story. I share a bunch of tools and tips that will transform your mental health and allow you to find your own heart's happiness. So exciting, right? Each episode will cover one of three areas. 1, raising awareness of what this trauma actually is and how it hides in our lives. 2, tools, tips, support, lots of different things that I've used to get better and heal from this trauma. And 3, I'll be connecting you with so many specialists and therapists and coaches as guests on my show. So we are going to transform your mental health and empower you to take your healing by the hands and move forward. Hello, my loves. Welcome back for another episode. I am digging deeper into healing our inner child today, and we are talking all about healing from a critical parent. And it may not be a critical parent, it could be a critical grandparent, it could be a critical auntie or critical uncle, somebody that has really affected your self-esteem. So I want you to take a moment, take a deep breath and ask yourself the question, do I have healthy self-esteem? Do I think I'm worthy? Do I think I'm good enough? Do I think I'm beautiful? Do I think I'm fun, kind, warm? Do you think the good things about yourself, or do you hear a voice in your mind telling you that you're not enough, that you're not good enough, that you're bad, that you're not as good as everybody else? Do you have that voice in your mind? And if you do have that voice in your mind, whose voice is it? Whose voice is telling you that you are just not good enough, that you're worthless, that you're not a beautiful, wonderful human being like the rest of us, who deserves the most in the world? So I just want you to take a moment and reflect on that. Okay, so it's good that you've got an idea of who this person might be, but you still might be questioning it, because you might be like, but they must have been right, it must be me, because when we've got low self-esteem, we want to think everything in the world is our fault and it's not because of somebody else. So I'm just going to share a little bit about my dad. So my dad was incredibly critical. He wasn't the only person in my life that was like that. There was others, mainly his family, to be honest, but there was other people too. And so that would look like when my dad was what I see now as emotionally dysregulated. So he could be tired coming home from work, he could be hungover, he could be missing his mum after her death, he could be stressed because his mum is sick when I was younger, he could be exhausted with his dad and his alcoholism, he could be feeling lonely in his relationship with my mum. Whatever it was, he would get angry like a little child, and that anger would come out as venom onto his children. So he would be like, you're stupid, you're ugly, he would swear at me, he would put me down in terms of that I wasn't clever enough, or I wasn't pretty enough, or I wasn't thin enough. And he would kind of give me these messages throughout childhood, ever since I was little. So I would try to be a really good girl, and I'd be trying, he was a teacher and he wanted me to study, so I'd try to be a good girl and study and do all of the books. But then if I was playing for 10 minutes, he would blow up at me and get angry at me and tell me I was lazy. He would tell me that you need to work harder than everybody else because you're not clever. He would tell me that, I was bigger than the other girls and I needed to diet. So I would diet at 10. And his sister actually used to say a lot of things about my body as well, and other people too. So I was getting this criticism from these different people, and you might as well. There might be more than one person. But when you hear that message repeated so much at a young age, especially 0 to 7, when your nervous system and your brain's developing, we actually take on these opinions of other people as the truth. Now, when we scale back, so we step away from your life, so I don't want you to just be looking at the moment when your dad or your mum told you you were not enough, but I want you to scale right back and think about their lives and look at the big picture of what they went through to make them that person that is critical, that is an unloving parent, that is somebody that is being unkind and pushing you. It was never about you. It's never the fact that you weren't good enough, okay? But it felt like that, and you feel like it's a fact because it was said to you so much that your brain has taken it in as a fact. And actually, when you look at the situation from afar and what could be going on for them and why they were acting out in that way towards you, you might understand what it was about. But that doesn't take away from the pain that was caused by those comments. Now, I want you to think about a child that you love more than anything in the world. And imagine saying to that child the things that were said to you. Is that okay to say that to a small person? Is it? Is it okay to tell a 7-year-old that they're ugly and stupid or whatever you heard as a child? Like, is that okay? It's really not okay. And the reason why our parents or relatives were doing that was because of their own stuff, because they haven't been taught how to manage their emotions, okay? My mum, my dad, both of them did not know how to deal with their emotions. They did not know how to express things. They did not know, actually, I'm really tired. Taking care of little people is really, really exhausting. I'm not being my best self right now. I need to go take care of myself. And then they did not know to come back and repair that situation with their child and be like, you know, when I said that you were X, I just want you to know that wasn't about you, and I was actually really, really tired, and I'm really sorry, and I love you. But we didn't have those conversations with our parents. We didn't repair the relationship between them. It was something that went on for decades and decades, that may still happen to you today, where they deny your reality. If you push back at them, if you get angry with them, they get annoyed with you, and it becomes this whole drama. And all of that is toxic families. It's the basis of trauma, because my dad had been spoken to like that. So he thinks that's normal. He thinks that's okay. Then he does it to his children. He doesn't think, oh, I've got unresolved trauma, I need to sort myself out, I need to be a better man. He just unconsciously repeated a lot of what he saw growing up. Now, what I think is so sad about, like, my dad, his dad was very absent because he was in the UK when my dad was growing up in India. And my dad was much more present in our lives because he'd made that choice to be like really about our education, because that's not what he got. But then he was like controlling and fearful and pushy and mean and controlling, and it was horrible. And it has created a fuckstorm of a self-esteem that I have inherited as a result. And you may really be struggling, and this affected my self-worth so much, which then affected the jobs I went for, the money I took, the amount I worked. I would overgive, I would overdo in work, in relationships. It affected me from being in really toxic bullying relationships, because I've had this done to me my whole life, so I think it's really normal. So I continue to have relationships like that. It affected my relationship with myself, because my dad is no longer with me, yet I can quite often talk to myself like a piece of shit. And that is because his voice is so a part of my brain. It's so a part of like my ego and my survival brain. So he may not be here anymore, but his voice is still there. And you know, me and my dad, we didn't get a chance to repair our relationship, if that was even possible. So I can't say to him, Dad, you know, you used to say this to me as a kid, and that's actually really messed me up. I can't actually have that conversation with him, but I do have that with my mum. And where my mum has worked on herself a lot, she does say sorry, and I'm actually really lucky that she does that. And I know a lot of you listening don't have that relationship with your parent, and I'm so sorry for that, because that is crap. But also, when she does say sorry, it doesn't take back the pain and the years of damage. It just is nice that we can repair our relationship today and what it is. But I'm pretty certain if my dad was around, I wouldn't be able to have that conversation with him. So basically, what we have to do is, we can't, like I said, all our parents can really say to us right now is to say sorry. But it's our responsibility for us to help ourselves to heal from the criticism, and also take responsibility and accountability for how we are talking to ourselves, because the person that criticized you is not around anymore, and you may be doing it to yourself. Now, I see it with a lot of my clients. They have low self-esteem, low self-worth, and they are very critical of themselves. They can be very high achieving, trying to be perfect on the outside, trying to, you know, like do like life perfectly so nobody criticizes them. I used to be terrified of like appraisals and being critiqued, and even now if somebody sends me a review for my work, like I'm always getting such great feedback, but I still get really scared. And that's because I have been criticized so much as a child that it feels so unsafe within my body. So I've tried to be so perfect over the years and not make any mistakes to try to protect myself from being like humiliated, shamed like that, like I was as a child. And that is the problem as well. We become really hyper vigilant for criticism. So we try to be perfect. We tried to do everything. We tried to achieve everything. And all because we have this perfect controlling parent that wanted these amazing results from us or wanted us to have this great body. I mean, my dad was like that about the way I looked. He was like that about my education in particular. Now, he's not around anymore. And I sort of had this moment of realization when I was on my holiday that, oh my God, I am my controlling dad with my business. Like, don't get me wrong, I love my work. Like today, I got so excited about recording my podcast. I've already written a blog because it came to me in my sleep. I absolutely love what I do. So I could probably do it all of the time. But it does make me ill if I do it too much and I don't have the balance right. Now, in my mind, I have a controlling parent who is like, work harder, achieve more. You're not earning enough. You are not good enough. You are not this. And he is beating me with a stick. Now, he's not around anymore, so it's actually me beating myself with a stick. So I want to know, and I want you to reflect, how are you beating yourself over a stick? How are you being critical to yourself? What are you saying? Because you are doing that. You are crushing your self-esteem. You are stopping your progress because you are being a sergeant major. Now, the other realization I had on holiday was that I've got like two people that run the show in my ego. It is my controlling dad voice, and it is also the inner rebel. So my family call me Mumpy, and it's like teenage Mumpy. That is who it is. The one that was like kissing boys when she wasn't allowed to. The one that was drinking when she wasn't allowed to. The one that would go find sugar because he was really strict with me with sugar. Would go overeat. That one, she still lives inside of me. She's the one that broke my drinking after 265 days. She got in town. So I have got the rebel and I've got the controller. And what I'm working on is being the higher self. So imagine like a boardroom, you're at a table, you've got your different parts of you at the table. So for me, it would be the controlling person and it would be the rebel. And I am the higher self, the adult that is taking care of these people and being like, is it the rebel? Is it the controller? Who do I need to be? And what I decided to be the higher self, to be the adult in the room, actually what it's about is being kinder to ourselves, being the parent you actually needed. So when, like today, I have got like a plan to record podcast and I've got a client and then I would like to rest later. That is my adult balance plan. But my dad, the controlling dad voice, is like, well, you've overrun on your first podcast. You're probably not going to have enough time. So forget all that rest and just do this. Otherwise, you won't achieve your goal and you won't be able to tick that off your list. And that will mean that you're not perfect. And that would mean that other things happen on other days and there'll be a consequence to that. And you can't do that. So that's kind of what that part of my brain's going like. And the other part of my brain is like, this is a lot. Why don't you go eat? And it's important for the kind of voice, the adult, the parent, the one that you didn't have, to be like, you know what? You need to rest. You need to go play. You don't need to be the worker for the whole day. So it's like stepping into that kind of voice. And when you want to be really critical about yourself, stepping into a kinder energy and being like giving loving feedback or being like, it's okay. You don't have to finish everything. You don't have to be perfect. You just can do little baby steps. And also be the kind parent when you realize that you're actually sabotaging yourself and ruining your health and you're not being the good, you're not being good to yourself. Like, it's being kind and fair and being in the middle to your younger part and being the adult parent, loving person that you actually needed. Because the result of not doing this, of beating yourself up, is not just doing what I did and getting into overworking, but it can impact other areas of your life. Like when you have a critical parent, you can end up with a critical partner. You can be a critical parent yourself. You can be so disempowered by others criticizing you because you don't have a sense of self, you don't have self-esteem, so you like crave outside validation so much to make you feel enough. You get trapped in this cycle of people pleasing and doing and chasing ambition and chasing achievement because of this wound of the highly critical parent. So by reparent yourself with love and kindness, you're able to slowly move out of that energy and no longer go into your survival behavior, which is to please or to it could even be to numb as well. I have some absolutely wonderful clients that would never talk to anybody the way that they talk to themselves. And when they go through a whole shame and hating on themselves episode, I would like to call it, they will be so hurt that then they will numb with like food or TV or alcohol or something. So that's the problem when we're bullying ourselves, because that is what it is. When we are treating ourselves with hate and a lack of love, it hurts, and we will be doing other things to soothe that emotion. So let's get out of the cycle of being that critical person and be our cheerleader. Now, I have got a few things that I quite like to do to help with healing from our critical narcissistic parent, other than the reparenting. And that is things like, I love affirmations. I'm really big on it when you've been highly criticized. So I am talking not just a little bit, guys. I'm talking like, listen to the track when you go to work, listen to the track when you get home, listen to it when you're cooking, like listen to it a lot. Because imagine you've had that negative playlist playing constantly throughout of your life. So you need to counteract that with the positivity affirmations. So find ones that you love, find more than one, listen to it a lot. At the beginning, you'll be feeling quite a lot of resistance, but if you keep repeating it, it will definitely help. So affirmations really help with the critical parent, reparenting the younger versions of yourself. So being that kind, loving person to yourself now is really a very important aspect. Another thing that's important for you to do is to create a practice where, say, once a week, you take time, half an hour, 20 minutes, whatever, and celebrate what has been great for you that week. What was good? Like, not what you didn't do or what you failed at or what you weren't good enough at, but what did you do that was really, really well, really, really good? Like, did you go for a walk in the sunshine? Were you consistently kind to yourself? Were you good at your job? Did somebody else give you positive feedback? Really take the time to build that practice in. I would also keep a note of anything positive that people say to you. Have a look at it. Read it more than once. Another thing you can do is use the mantra, am I being kind to myself? So throughout the day, checking in about whether you're being kind. That's a really big one. And the other thing is listening to your body. Like, are you treating your body well? Are you nourishing it? Are you quenching its thirst? Are you listening to it when it needs rest? Are you making sure it has good sleep? Are you taking care of it like you would a child? Are you showing it love? Are you asking yourself how you feel? Are you asking yourself what you need? Now, often those of us that have been raised by a critical parent and are really trying to please other people, we are so disconnected from our emotions. But I kind of want you to do a little bit of a switch there and be like, no, I need to be loving and caring to myself and listen to my own needs. So just be the friend, the parent that you wish that you wanted, like right now, on a consistent basis. That can really help with the critical parent wound. And if you want to go deeper into healing your inner child, come and join me, guys. 15th of June, 6 p.m. UK time. Tickets are £44, and you can catch the replay, or you can just join later, even if you missed it live, because it's going to be incredible. And as always, I want to remind you that healing is possible. You can find your happiness. You can overcome this, but it's about you getting the support you need. It's about you taking the steps. It's about you being loving and kind to yourself, learning to be the parent that you always needed. Okay, because that is a game changer. That can build your self-worth. When your self-worth builds, you will want and expect more from your life. Like, my expectations from my life goes up every single year. I want more opportunities. I want to go on better holidays. Like, we went to recently Gran Canaria, and I picked a very nice hotel that was half board, that wasn't the cheapest on the island, that was adult only. And Simon was like, that's crazy, why are you paying that much money? And I was like, because I deserve it, because I'm worth it. And I never would have done that, by the way. I would have found the cheapest deal on that island. So that's because my self-worth is increasing, and so can yours. And then you'll be radiating at a different energy, and you'll be creating a life in that vibrational energy of what you do want. So want more, guys. You're allowed to have more. And this was a theme that came up a couple of weeks ago, where like loads of my clients were like, am I allowed to want more? Like, my parents think I'm like really greedy and I'm this terrible person because I can't accept the things that the way they are, but it feels so wrong to me and I really want more. You are allowed to want more. I am giving you permission to want more, okay? But in order to want more and to make it a reality, to feel good enough for it, to feel like a match, becoming a loving parent changes everything to yourself, okay? And then you get to show your children, your community, the people in your job, in your relationship, what it means to be that person for yourself. And you will find that more people come into your life that are like that too. So that is my big tips on healing from a critical parent. And if you love my podcast and my approach to healing from trauma, and I'm very much about really stepping into that survivor energy. You know, we feel so powerless when we've grown up with critical parents, and it can haunt us for our entire life with the low self-esteem, the critical thinking in our mind. But we can take back our power, and that is why I created my signature course, Take Back Your Power, which I created about 3 years ago, and I am changing it. But this summer you can do it for the last time. So we're starting the 3rd of July. It's a 12-week container. You'll be doing it with my membership for the summer. If you're busy in the summer, don't worry. Everything is recorded for you to watch whenever you want. And you can come into the community and ask me any questions, meet others that have already graduated from the course as well. And I'm doing it for the last time. It's completely changing format. And it is £777, and there's payment plans available, and you can even add one-to-one sessions to it, so you have that as well. Having the tools to be able to regulate your nervous system, to understand how your past is impacting you now, is quite literally life-changing. So if you have been reading all the books, listening to my podcast, but you are like, but what are the steps for me to be able to transmute that trauma into light, to turn it into my job, to turn it into a healthy, loving relationship, to turn it into conscious, amazing parenting? Well, all of that starts with you understanding your story, understanding your body, understanding your nervous system, and being able to break the patterns of survival that you're in. Okay? You are the most important thing in your life. And if you are not feeling good and you're feeling scared all the time, like a lot of my clients, they come to me because they constantly feel unsafe. They feel unsafe if their boss isn't very nice to them. They feel unsafe wanting more out for their lives, like love, and they're just plagued by it and they're caught in a loop with it. But when we are able to go back, heal our stories, work with our inner child, learn how to regulate our emotions, we can literally change our lives, okay? Because I no longer am stuck in that survival pattern. I'm able to grow a business I love. I'm able to have the first healthy relationship I've had in my entire life. I'm able to have boundaries with my family. I'm able to step away from toxic relationships. I am able to break habits that I have used for a lifetime, like drinking and eating and more recently overworking, to just be there for myself, you know. And you guys can do that as well, and you're so worth it. And investing a bit of money in yourself will transform your life if you do what I tell you to do, okay? And if you're ready to put in that energy into healing you. So I'm going to leave the link in the episode notes, but you can message me on Instagram, hearts__happiness. You can email me at manpreet@heartshappiness.co.uk if you want to know any more details, if you want to jump on a call and talk about it. Now, if you're listening to this after the summer of 2023, then that course is not available anymore. But when you click on the link, it will take you to my new updated signature course. Just FYI, but I'm not going to tell you what that is yet because it's still being created. But yes, I will speak to you in the next episode.